Welcome back to India Talks, and we have with us today Abhay Kapoor from DM Pratama, and he's going to tell us a little bit more about communications, marketing and the advertising industry in Indonesia, and what skill sets, Abhay, have brought you to Indonesia and how you are contributing to the growing media industry.
Like I said, the similarity of cultural background between Indonesia and India, the similar economic profile, and that gives me a head start in and the Asian culture, of course, that gives me a head start in understanding about the market, about the consumers, about the brands. And in terms of my contribution, like I said, we started on in a situation where the international partnership was off, and today we are a group of 4 to 5 companies and growing. We are almost double the size of what we were at the time when the partnership was off. Yeah, that's what we
So
have
now that
managed to
leads
do.
me to a couple of questions, Abhay.
Sure.
The first one being, since you have studied the psyche of consumers, people like me, and you know what makes us buy certain products based on what we want, what we need. And so from your point of view, how can consumers like myself make the right choice among the plethora of products that are available in the market now? Say you've got 100 types of cell phones.
Right. I think what advertising does is it gives whole lot of information, and it arms the consumer with what are the available choices in the market.
Correct.
In absence of advertising, I don't think any consumer can make a learned decision. So that, I think, is what consumer gets in terms of advertising. And from the communication specialist point of view, what we usually do is that sometimes there are very obvious needs of the consumer which can be addressed through our product or the brand, which is what we bring to the consumer. Sometimes there are latent needs of the consumers, such as in certain categories you would feel that there is this particular benefit, this particular offer is way down in hierarchy of needs in terms of motivation factors for the consumer. And when you bring forward that particular aspect of your brand, consumer suddenly realizes that, hey, I never thought of it like this. This is an important need. This is what I always wanted. So sometimes the latent needs work in our favor, and sometimes the way whole market is structured, there are a host of brands, and there is this tendency by the marketers to get into a similar kind of communication, similar kind of positioning.
And so all of them position their products in a similar manner.
Right, and so it becomes a category. That's how it defines the category.
Right.
And then that's a great opportunity for a new entrant to come in and break away from the category and create its own position. For example, we used to work on an expectorant brand called Words, and when we in the expectorant category, there were only cough syrups. There was no differentiation between wet and dry cough syrup. We recognized that there is a need amongst the consumers, latent though, because it was never highlighted, never brought forward by any of the marketers, that there was a need to differentiate the market or segment the market in terms of wet cough and dry cough.
So actually differentiate between the types of
coughs. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what we did, and the brand and the initial campaign was very, very successful.
So as I understand it, you turn wants and desires into needs.
Yeah, needs into desire.
So in the advertising field,
yeah,
what is more important? Human psychology, the knowledge of human psychology, or would you say with the recent technology, the changes in multimedia, the ways to approach people? So from what angle do you take advertising?
I think the first and the most important thing is understanding the psychology. Understanding how the mind works, understanding how the heart works of the consumer, and then technology or media or alternatives available in terms of reaching the consumer are only delivery mechanisms. So even if we are talking about media, we need to understand from consumers' point of view how the consumer is interacting with the media. So let's say the consumer's interaction with cell phone, which is the media of the future, is totally different vis-a-vis television.
Yeah.
Cell phone is a very personal medium. So the kind of communication that I would use on cell phone would be totally different compared to the kind of communication I would use on television. So understanding the psyche of the consumer is very important, whether you're talking about technology, whether you're talking about
the
delivery mechanism, you're talking about different product categories, you're talking about media choices, communication choices. It's very important to understand the psyche of the consumer.
Now media has become all pervasive. Anywhere you see, you'll see billboards, your phone is bombarded with SMSs from people trying to sell you stuff.
Right.
You look at the TV, there are more advertisements than TV shows. And so it's definitely a growing market. In fact, according to a recent study, Indonesia advertising industry is bigger at this moment than all of India. And all this trend just shows how advertising is now where, because maybe it's because the number of products that are increasing and everybody wants to push their products to the market.
Indonesian market is big. And as vis-a-vis India, both the markets are more or less $2.5 to $3 billion in terms of size. But if we look at per capita consumption of advertising, India population being 4 times bigger than Indonesia,
okay.
per capita consumption of
So
advertising is much bigger.
Capita.
Yeah, much bigger in Indonesia. However, in terms of growth rate in India today is at about 15 to 18%, and in Indonesia in last 2 years the growth has slowed down. In 2001 when I came to Indonesia, at that time every year Indonesian advertising industry was growing by 35 to 40%, but now the growth has slowed down, but the future is definitely bright. The